Good evening, guys. With the newest release of Casterize in Honkai Star Rail 3.2, we can see a new shift in meta towards HP fluctuation characters and erudition type units, like units that can do AoE damage. And this is also the point where we can see a clear diversion between the 2.0 DPS and the 3.0 DPS. So right here, I set up a tier list. I'm going to explain my thought on every single character here. And how I'm ranking them is based on what value they provide and how well do they clear the endgame content from MLC, Pure Fiction, and APOC. So we got S plus tier. These are units that are basically S tiers, innately. We're gonna bump it up because they make other characters look better than they are, right? So basically, another way of saying that is that these characters are better replacement of other character. At the same time, they also make other characters from a C tier to a B tier during your runs and stuff, during your clear, right? So S tiers are unit that clears in 1 to 3 cycles, which is, most people say is quite easy, right? If you clear MLC in each half in less than 3 cycles, that's always a good thing, right? So yeah, so S tier is usually just one to 2 cycles, right? Then A tiers are characters that will clear in 3 to 4 cycle, right? Still low difficulty, right? If you had 2 A tier team, then you'll have 2 cycle remaining because 4 by 2 is 8. You have 2 cycle remaining, so you can get the maximum reward. Then we got B tier. B tiers are unit that will clear in medium difficulty. Medium difficulty will equate to 5 cycle in MLC, or 20,000 points in each half in Pure Fiction, right? Then you got C tier. C tier are clear in high difficulty, meaning in MLC you'll still clear, but it will take you 7 cycle, 7 A cycle, and then you'll have to depend on your second half to pick up what you missed, or to basically you need the second half to clear faster so you can get all the reward for MLC, APOC, and Pure Fiction, right? So for example, for C tier unit, maybe in Pure Fiction you get like 15,000 points, then your second team will need to get 25,000 points, right? So maybe if you have a C tier team, maybe you want an A tier team to be in the second half. I mean, we're not rating these characters based on we're not saying that you can compose a good team with a C tier character. We're saying that we can take a C tier unit and build a team off of them for them to clear, right? So obviously a team like let's see, Blade Jinglu, it's not gonna do so well, right? You probably want to slap Jinglu with Robin or the Herda. And D tier are a unit that probably wouldn't clear MLC for you so well. Maybe they can get like 12 cycle in MLC 12, which means you will not get the full reward, right? So these are the unit that will clear up to MLC 10 with no problem. So for example, my Mycela with E2 Sparkle, Silver Wolf, and Wushang were able to clear MLC 10 in 3 cycle, right? But going to MLC 11, they were clearing in like 8 cycles. So that is where that's the clear difference, right? Between MLC 10 and 11. Drastic difference. MLC 11 and MLC 12 are actually very close to each other, so just keep that in mind. E tiers are a unit that you cannot use. All right, so let's just jump straight into it. So let's talk about the E tier unit. We got Yukong. Yukong here, it's only good for Dill, but Dill had better support now, and Yukong's buff is too low to make meaningful, make a reasonable argument to add her in, to slot her into Dang Heng and Bibi Nulan's team. Right. Also, at the same time, Dang Heng is not so great anymore. Dang Heng is here is a C tier unit, right? So if the DPS that these support doesn't do well, then support wouldn't be valuable, if that makes sense, right? For example, we can see Sparkle in B tier, right? Sparkle is a great support, it provides huge buff, but the problem is the DPS that she supports aren't so great, right? So Sparkle is made for Sela, is made for Bibi Lune, and they're not so hot right now, right? But then we have Acheron, but Acheron's more of a force. You should only use Sparkle for Acheron if you have an E2 Acheron, right? So we got Green Knifen dot unit, okay damage. Maybe 6 months ago okay damage, now no damage. But everything else in E tier basically doesn't do any damage or have really hard condition, or just a waste of space in your team, in your slot of your team of 4. Right, for example, March 7, you're gonna put a shield on an ally. That's all she can do, right? You're not healing any allies. You're not shielding every ally. So in basically she's just a dead weight in your team. Yanqing, I mean, with perfect luck, he can be a C tier, but in most cases he's an E tier because it's just so hard to play with Yanqing, especially in this meta where everything is erudition. Is erudition meta. In erudition meta, you got erudition meta, and you have 5 enemy in most cases, right? You can, I mean, like look at the MLC 12 boss. He summoned 5 clones, right? So Yanqing is too vulnerable to all to that many numbers of attack, right? So you can't really shield that. Just not gonna go much more about the E tier. They were never great. I mean, they were great at 1.0, but now they're not great at all. Not good at all. D tier of interest. The first 3 silly Qingque, they do damage, but with bosses with 3 million, 8 million HP, they're just not doing enough, right? You're not gonna clear in time. You're not gonna get your rewards. Sealy cannot kill little mobs to even use Resurgence. Wealth, the only reason to use Wealth is for Acheron to do sustainless Wealth, but at the same time, Wealth is not contributing much in the damage. Qingque drained too much skill point. Now that even her damage are so mediocre that it's not worth building a team around Qingque. So yeah, I mean Hanya, all she does is give a skill point, but it takes too long to get a skill point, right? Doesn't provide enough buff. We have great support now. We got RMC, which is free to everyone. We got Harmony MC to play for Super Break. We got Triby. We got Robin. Everyone has Rame now. I mean, by now, which is a way better support than Hanya, right? So nobody will play hyper carry Hanya. So Hanya's down there. Asta giving a flat speed buff, which is outdated now because everyone just use dance with their Harmony unit, right? When play hyper carry, you can have 2 Harmony unit and put dance on them, right? Got Lynx gives heal, but that's all she does. All she can do is cleanse and heal. But yeah, moving on to C tier. So C tier, Serval, Blade, Himeko, March, they are around. They're more like a D tier unit, but with the current unit, in the meta right now, they make these units look better. So for example, Herta makes Serval look better by giving 80% crit damage to all allies, right? So that's why Herta is S+ tier, because she don't just make herself. She isn't just strong. She make every other character in her team look great. Right? She make the little baby Herta look good. She make where's baby Herta? Right here. Yeah, Serval is better than baby Herta because Serval does more damage than baby Herta. Also, it's true that baby Herta can do more AoE attack, but in many cases you're not gonna get the follow up attack from baby Herta, so you're actually losing a lot of damage while Serval can get her ultimate every 2 turns. And also Serval can, with Windset and with Windset, Serval action forward, so you get more turn with Serval. Right, so Serval just probably one of the strongest erudition free to play option. Blade, the thing is, you can slap Blade with Herta because Herta gives 80% crit damage to all allies. To be honest, you can slap anyone with the Herta, right? You just need 1 erudition with Herta. So I done a run with Herta, Serval, and Jinglu. Against Nicador, I think, because Nicador is weak to lightning and ice. Or was it a Black Cloth guy? One of the MLC to 11 or 12, right? So yeah, so I mean Herta gave 80% crit damage to all allies, so that includes Jinglu, right? So when Jinglu's fighting against an ice weak enemy, you're gonna get type advantage, which means that you don't get the minus 20 reduction in weakness reduction, or what is it called? Resistance, right? There's no right, you get the point, right? Use type against type, makes sense, right? So yeah, I mean the 80% crit damage from the Herta. Let's just call her Herta for now. I mean to the end of this video. So the 80% crit damage from the Herta is like a Bronya buff for all allies and with 100% uptime, right? So there's no condition to get that 80% crit damage beside having an erudition. So once there's the release of new erudition unit, like stronger erudition unit, something like maybe something as powerful as Jade or even better, you'll see an S tier and Axa. Yeah, we can expect Herta team doing more damage. Overall, you can probably have 3 DPS in the team, right? Because Herta itself is somewhat of support as well. Yeah, so we see Himeko down here because the break meta is over. It's true that it's an erudition meta, but Himeko is not doing enough damage to kill the enemies in MLC, right? Himeko is really good in pure fiction, but I don't think there's break effect buff or like action advance buff for doing break. So Himeko's kind of down the trenches right now. Mars 7 is down here, just like Mose, because the meta's erudition meta. So the only reason you use Mark 7 Mose is because of Fei Xiao, right? Because they do follow attack after their allies do a follow-up attack, right? But they're doing single target damage, and the single target damage is quite strong for a single target, but for but they're not going to perform as well as the erudition unit, right? They're not going to perform as well hurt us attack, right? So what I mean is that, like, let's just say D-Herda does 50k to each enemy, right? And Face Shot does 100k to one single enemy, right? So if there's 5 enemy, then D-Herda will do 250k, but Face Shot will still only do 100k, right? So that's the problem with these single target DPS. They're just not killing these waves of mob fast enough. And we can see that also with the HP inflation of the Wolf boss. We can see that Fei Xiao, Mark 7, Mose are struggling in that too because they just can't kill in time, right? Next up, we have Clara. Clara is a weaker Yunli. Yunli is, or you can say Yunli is a stronger Clara. The only reason to use Clara, Clara is great because of high frequency in this meta where the enemy attacks you a lot because there's so many, right? But her damage is just not there, right? So that's where we can see like fall off. Next we have Silver Wolf, again erudition meta. So single target weakness implant doesn't do much. Even its only single target boss I think was the Wolf boss. He's just way too fast, so he just completely I guess cleanse himself from taking so many actions. We talk about Jinglu, we talk about Imbibe Lune. No, we haven't talked about Imbibe Lune. So Imbibe Lune, same thing as Jinglu. They do good damage, but under very, very strict conditions. So Jinglu requires you to be in transcendent state, and if you cannot maintain that permanently, then her damage falls off when she basically back in her original state. In Imbibe Lune, you require a lot of skill point. If you don't get the skill points, you're not gonna do the damage. But also he doesn't do so much. Like his nuke isn't so crazy to justify like burning through all the skill points. There's so many other better DPS. It's just that his playstyle is somewhat outdated because there's these units with higher multiplier, right? So for example, my day can easily do 300k, right? While in Imbibe Lune require 3 skill points to do a 300k. But you're kind of forced to use Sparkle with Imbibe Lune, right? And we got better support now. So next up, the Dot duel, Kafka and Black Swan. They're the strongest Dot character in the game right now. Kafka is getting a buff, so that'll be exciting because we get to see Dot will be stronger again. Hopefully. I don't think Dot will be that crazy good unless Kafka can trigger like 300% Dot or something. But yeah, it's just that the Dot isn't doing much. It doesn't do much damage, and these bosses are just too fast where the Dot just goes away too quickly. Ratio, single target, he's just worse than Fei Xiao. That's really it. Single target just not great in this meta at all. Bailu, Japar, great sustain, but everyone has one of the newer sustain, right? Bailu will save you. Japar will save you. Just depend how fast you clear, right? If you clear fast, probably don't need a sustain, right? Because you're getting hit less when you clear faster. But if you clear slow, they may struggle to keep you alive through Elsling. Your run. Move on to B tier. So these are like the 5 cycle clear, 4 to 5 cycle clear character. Firefly at E0 at 0. Firefly, burns through skill point. We're just lucky that Harmony MC and Rame are skill point positive. Fugue is skill point positive. Who else? Gallagher is skill point positive. So there's many great options for Firefly. It's just that these bosses has higher toughness bar, so it takes a lot longer to break these bosses. Right? If you can't break these bosses, Firefly ain't doing any damage at all. So the problem with Firefly is just the increase of toughness bar, right? So if you have E1 Fugue and E1 S0 Firefly, maybe you can justify to move Firefly close to A tier, where Firefly may clear in 4-3 cycle. But this is saying like you need Fugue, E1, Rame, E0 or E1, doesn't matter. That's because Fugue E1 gives weakness break efficiency. Rame itself, her skill gives weakness break efficiency. You're breaking faster. If you're breaking faster, you do more damage with Firefly, and also you can you'll get to break the second toughness bar, because you're breaking faster. But if we have E2 Firefly, then if we get E2 Firefly is S tier. right? That's only if we have E2 Firefly, right? And E2 Firefly and just use it with Harmony MC Ramen, that's perfectly fine. Or use it with Gallagher, use it with Lingsha, right? But just Firefly itself, E0, S0, B tier. Fei Xiao, E0, S0, E0, S0, B tier, because Fei Xiao just doesn't do much damage against 5 enemy at once, right? So she's a single target DPS. So this is where she falls, and also like with the high HP scaling, just not really doing so hot right now. So it's crazy time to be saying that Fei Xiao isn't doing well. Our next is Yunli. Yunli does a lot of damage, but it just, you need enemy to hit you, and if they don't hit you, she's not doing damage, right? So I'm not sure if it's also about the typing, right? We don't have physically weak enemy. If there's physically weak enemy, we can move her to A tier, but for now, B tier, like 4 cycle, which is still really good. Killing a 4 or 5 cycle, it's good. I'm saying, in my opinion, B tier is the floor for what you can say a good unit is, right? I just wouldn't pull for anything in the C tiers for now, or anywhere lower, of course. But B tier is pretty good. If you like the character, you should pull it definitely. Jiao, the only use case with Jiao is with Acheron. And that's it, right? So, I mean, yeah, I mean, just because it's the only use case for Jiao is Acheron, we had to put in B tier. He's not the best support for any other character, and people that use Jiao, they do clear quite fast with Acheron, but it's still in the 3 cycle range, right? So we got Pela next. Pela here, one of the best free to play agility units. Shred 45% defense on all enemy. If you have Ensnare, you can shred around 53 or more. So yeah, I mean, the only reason why she's in B tier is just because there's better support out there. Defense shred is great, but the problem is they're not doing the damage, right? So you could shred 53%, but these bosses have so much HP. You can spend 53%, and then you could have Fei Xiao doing maybe just like 330k from the 250k, right? It's not that big of a improvement, right? So no, not say improvement, not that big of a jump in power, right? Because besides Pela, there's Tribi, which gives 24% resistance penetration and damage boost, right? And Tribi also do a lot of damage too, right? So that's where Pela would be B tier. Sparkle, the problem is single target hyper carry, not single target hyper carry. I mean hyper carry meta is somewhat dead right now, and the only hyper carry meta I can think of right now is probably Agalea and My Day. You could do My Day hyper carry, yes. Acro hyper carry, but they don't require Sparkle, like crit damage, action forward, attack boost, support. Right, so Brian gives attack percent, which My Day don't want. Agalea would appreciate it, but there's Sunday. You could use Sparkle and Bronya for Agalea, but there's Sunday, right? Most people use Sparkle for Sealy and Acheron and Bibilune. That was she was meant for, right? So yeah, but you can still clear 4 or 5 cycle with Sparkle Bronya. Then we have Argenti. Argenti, we can see him up here because the buff that credit gives the 80% crit damage, and we can see more play from him because you can use him to charge up your enhanced skill faster. Cup has great follow-up. The best single target follow-up debuffer. The problem is you need her. You can only play her with Fei Xiao. That is the problem, right? It's not single target meta, so that's what it is. Wu Hill, again, you can do so much damage to one enemy, but you got like 4 more to go after you kill one, right? So the Wu Hill is down here. Tingyun doesn't give enough buff. Tingyun gives attack damage buff and energy, but it takes too long to get her ultimate, so Tingyun is down here. A tier, we got Rappa. Rappa is at E0 S0. She actually, if you have E0 S1, you can move her up to S tier. That is because the action forward from E0 S1 gives you more turns, and Rappa is AoE based super break DPS. So I mean, there's a lot of super break support. Super break is still relevant now. Yeah, I mean, but at E0 S0, A tier is where she'll be. Remember, A tier is clearing like 3 and 4 cycle, 3-4 cycle, right? Acheron, at E0 S0, you're just not getting that much value because you're forced to play two Nihility, right? You're forced to play Jiaoqiu and Pela, right? Many times if you want Akra to do more damage, you want her to take more action. That's why if you had E to S1, then you could probably move Akra to S tier, right? But if you don't, A tier is where the fit. Luocha, Luocha. This is where many people may disagree, but we have Luocha here because Luocha has a lot of outgoing, out of turn healing. Luocha is one character where on release he heals too much because he has a high multiplier for on healing, right? Because he's based off attack, it's very easy to give him high attack, and he can heal a lot, right? You can use Luocha to heal Netherwing really fast. You can use Luocha to charge up Castorite's ultimate. Just because of how good his heal is, how big of his heal during out turn, Luocha deserves to be an A tier. Luocha can sustain you anytime. It's just that he wouldn't give you extra buff like Ho-Ho, like giving you attack buff, wouldn't give you energy. Maybe give you not Tribby, sorry. Linkshot, Linkshot just does a lot of damage, just breaks really fast. But who else? Gushen give you crit rate. Adventuring give you crit damage. He just doesn't provide that. But the team he is in right now with Castorites, that is the meta, right? And so in my opinion, Luocha is a more viable sustain in the current meta. Then we have Ho-Ho. Ho-Ho may struggle sustaining because Ho-Ho doesn't have emergency heal. Unlike Luocha. Luocha, when your ally get below 50% HP, he just heals them basically almost to full HP because of how big his heal. Ho-Ho don't have that, right? So your enemy die, your enemy just dies. If your ally die, your ally just die. Then we have Adventuring. His shield just hard to say. The thing is, he will sustain, but in super long fight, the bosses will chip away your shield fast enough to where they will lower your HP, and you're kind of screwed, right? We have bosses that drain your HP to summon clones of statues or something like that. Eventually cannot heal. That's where you'll see his problem with sustain. Fushen is great. Just that in this HP meta, HP fluctuation meta, you're not gonna use Fushen with Caster, right? You're not gonna use Fushen with My Day, right? Even though it may work, it's just not that viable, knowing that we have bosses that drain your team's HP, and Fushen cannot heal them fast enough because Fushen only heal 5% of their max HP with one ultimate. Right, but we can still see Fushen in Acheron team. We can still see her in Agalea team. We can still see her in Herda team. Right, so she still got teams. Just not with Castorites and My Day, or just not the best option as a sustain to be using. We got Jingyuan after getting buffed by Sunday. Jingyuan does a lot of damage. Lightning Lord always does a lot of damage, just that getting it up consistently and actually trying to do damage to Lightning Lord was hard. But with Sunday, Jingyuan is back up in A tier, clearing in 3-4 cycle in many cases. With the right team, obviously, perhaps you want to have Tribi and Sunday and Jingyuan and Ho-Ho. That'll be a great team to have, or perhaps you can have Fushen in it too. Yeah, Jingyuan's great. Army MC would have been an S tier, but with the release of Fugre, and the shift of Super Break meta to HP fluctuation erudition, we gotta move Army MC down because Fugre just a much better support for Grappa and E2 Firefly, right? That's just how it is. But Harmony MC is still very strong. Jade and Anaxa. So they're an S tier because they do good damage, and especially Jade. Jade is attacking very consistently because Herda is giving 80% crit damage to all allies. That includes Jade. That includes Anaxa. All right, so that means you're basically you're getting value off of the buff that Herda is giving, right? And also, Jade, with the number of fall attacks she's doing, she's just quickly charging up Herda's attack. Overall, Jade is really strong. Anaxa is like the new strongest erudition unit to support Herda because Anaxa implants weakness, and also Anaxa does good damage on its own. Gallagher S tier because he is the most versatile healer. His ultimate lets him advance for 100%. Right, so you're getting more turns. You can basically you can use Gallagher for Herda. You can use Gallagher for Super Break team. You can use Gallagher for Castorites. Right, it's just very versatile. Gallagher heals a lot, which is great. Next up, we have Rame. Rame is down in S tier because her strongest team is Super Break, right? But Super Break, how to say this? She could be replaced. right? So if you have Fugre and Harmony MC, that is probably the highest damage super break team you'll get, because you have two support that can give you super break damage. Right, Rami doesn't give super break damage. Rami just have weakness break efficiency. But it really depend on what you need. If you need to break faster, then Rami will be a better option than Harmony MC. But in all cases, Fugre over Rami and Harmony MC. Right, but Harmony MC can also give damage buff. Right, so which means basically all unit can use that buff. Right, just maybe not all unit want to use the break buff, the break efficiency buff, because I'm pretty sure the bosses you don't want to break the bosses or delay them too much, because you want them to summon more clones and get more debuff from by killing the clones, right? So the break can be a double-edged sword sometimes. Robin is S tier just because besides giving damage buff, attack, she also has her rise up her 100% advance forward for all allies, but we can see a clear distinction in power between Tribby and Robin. In many cases, we're seeing Tribby team clearing one cycle faster than Robin. Really just depend how you play them. For example, like many people would expect that Robin would be best with Herda, but we actually can see that Tribby Herda is doing clear faster than Herda Robin. But still, nevertheless, S tier still means that you can still clear very comfortably with 0 difficulty, meaning like 2-3 cycle, maybe 1 cycle, 0 cycle, right? These S tier S plus team has the potential to clear S plus. No, sorry, these S plus and S tier team has the potential to clear in 0 cycle. Actually, 0 cycle might be hard, maybe 1 cycle, right? Yeah, 0 cycle these days are kind of impossible. We got Fugre, don't need to explain much. Super break, and extra toughness bar, right? She's keeping super break alive. Agalea with Sunday, she just does a lot more attack. The bosses are all weak to electric. She does great damage. If you know how to play her, you can give her a lot of actions, right? So Agalea deserves to be next tier. My Day, similar to Agalea, just attack very frequently. He does his own attack. My Day does a lot of damage. Also, the meta is the buffs are towards HP scaling characters. So yeah, My Day is S tier. We may potentially see My Day go to A tier in the future, where they kind of give up on the HP fluctuation character. But for now, My Day is an S tier. Yeah, and we can also use My Day with Casterize, right? So with My Day training his own HP, we can get Castori's ultimate faster. We can get Pollux out faster. Linkshot just very frequent with the bunnies. You can break faster. One of the best healers, heals fast, can do a lot of damage. The Linkshot is basically a Tribby, but for with healing intention rather than support. Sunday makes every unit better. Makes Jing'an better. Makes Jinglu better. Makes Bibelune better. Makes My Day better. But with a caveat, I don't think Sunday E0 S0 deserve to be S plus tier. But if you have E1, S1, then he definitely is an S plus tier. But to be honest, he's more of an S tier just because we want more of a dual DPS setup nowadays. Actually, even our support Tribby is doing sub DPS work, right? Tribby follow up attack is doing as much as basically Jinglu or Jingwan, right? It's like with how frequent she attack and how much damage she does. Yeah, Tribby's up there. Remember MC, we're putting Remember MC in S plus tier because Remember MC, it's actually very easy to get Mimi to advance you for 100%. Also, the true damage buff lasts longer than Brian's and Sparkle, right? It lasts, I don't know how many turns, but it's over 2 turns, or maybe it's 2 turns. But that means in the intermediate phase where like let's just say Jinglu, right? Once Jinglu action advance forward, Jinglu still keeps the buff, still keep the true damage buff from Remember's MC, unlike when Sparkle pulls Jinglu up and Brian pulls Jinglu up, right? Because when Brian pulls Jinglu up, Jinglu uses skill, and then once Jinglu transforms, Jinglu advances for 100%. That 100% makes her lose the buff that she has from Brian and Sparkle, but she doesn't lose the buff from Remember's MC. That's why Remember's MC deserves to be S plus tier, just because you can use Remember MC with Casterize, Agalea with My Day, with Herda, basically any character, because true damage buffs all character, right? Yep. Tribby also give true damage, resistance penetration, and Tribby does a lot of damage, right? We're just the buff that Tribute does, and also the buff that Tribute give, and the amount of attack she does, she's just a great unit. She make Harda look better. She make Mighty look better. She make Castaway look better. She's perfect fit for this meta. We got Harda. Harda makes every basically every DPS look better, right? You if you want to, you can do you can just slap. You can do Harda, Serval, and then Castarise. That works because Harda gives 80% crit damage to all allies. So the Dragon of Castarise will also get 80% crit damage, and Castarise also herself will also get 80% crit damage. Also, at the same time, Castarise ultimate gives all allies 20% resistance penetration, right? So these DPS are giving buffs to all allies. That's why they are the apex of Honkai Star Rail at this moment in this current meta, right? Castarise obviously S+ tier, especially with the global passive. It's just easier to do sustain as teams now. I guess just more comfortable, where you could probably survive a little longer. All right. Yeah, let me know in a comment what you guys think. Where do you feel like there should be changes? Right, happy to hear. All right, peace out.